Hello, I'm Philip Stoten. I'm at SMT in Nuremberg, and I'm joined by Ray Bruce from SIPLACE and Bernhard from SRI to talk about EMS specifically in the German market. SRI is a company that was a management buyout from Siemens, I understand. How many years ago?
4 years ago, we went out of Nokia Siemens network, in fact.
Okay.
I've been Siemens earlier on, so
okay.
I have some 40, almost 50 years experience in electronics.
Wow, okay. And tell me a little bit about how that carve-out happened and how the business has progressed since then.
So when we decided to make this management buyout for colleagues and myself, we thought it might be a good idea to look for different markets. So we started in the telecom market, which we did for Siemens and Nokia Siemens early on. And we built up new markets, or we stepped in new markets, to say it clearly, which is the healthcare area, which is the environmental and solar business, for sure some industrial customers also, and the automotive area. So we started in 2008, which was not the best time for, let's say, the European market, but we managed to came over the time, and so by now I would say we have 50 customers in place in these 5 markets, and it's quite okay.
Yeah, and Ray, interesting scenario, you're one of those 50 customers. You're also a key supplier to SRI in terms of capital equipment. When you have a company like SRI that needs to compete particularly in the south of Germany, a high labour cost environment, what can you do to support them to make their life easier? And what's your experience with them as a supplier, because you've chosen them as a supplier?
Well, basically, I think they're a great success story. They focused on their business and expanding their customer base and specializing in servicing their customers. They are very supplying us and some PCBs extremely good. So if they do that for all of their customers, then I'm not surprised they are being quite successful in the market.
They continue to grow.
So I like to think that we would like to service them as well as they service us.
Well, one would hope so.
This is the recipe for success there.
It's a mutual demand. Bernhard would be able to comment on that, I'm sure. From your point of view of those sectors, would you talk about the SIPLACE equipment, would that come into the industrial sector?
Yes,
and
for sure.
Is that the strongest of those sectors?
It's one of the big players in this sector, and I think looking on the relationship, which is left side, right side, means we are supplying and they are supplying us. It helps a lot to have this common experience, have really the engineers close by, and I think this is now for 20 years we are cooperating in this, how to bring components on a board business, and this is working well. So.
Okay, and some of the other sectors you're in, Bernhard, solar is a good example. It's a business that's extraordinarily volatile. It's up and down. Government has a great influence on the demand, but also in terms of what it requires of you, it's quite unusual. It's large form factor, it's a different kind of manufacturing, I guess.
That's true. Looking on the, let's say, total on the worldscape of solar business, it is still growing a lot. So for sure in Germany we are looking on these government issues and what's happening here is the same in Italy and Spain. So the European markets are not growing too much, but looking on the global game, it's really progressing a lot. And I think, and I've learned a lot in the 90s when we built up mobile sets for Nokia and others, that in these extremely fast growing markets, it's not easy going if the first bump comes in. And this is what happens in solar in the last 2 years. But still, I think the big players are doing well. We have some of the big players as customers and are proud on that. And I think with the global expansion, there will come a lot.
And you're growing your customer base globally as well, so you have an international customer base. And in terms of manufacturing, I know you're starting to manufacture outside of Germany, and that will grow. When you start to look at strategies like that, are partners like SIPLACE, who can supply you internationally, who can support you internationally, an important part of that plan?
In fact, we are doing that. So we started last year with manufacturing in the US. So we are not going east, we are going west, just to do it a little bit different, right? And we got a strong support from SIPLACE on that. And I learned this morning that one of the, let's say, growing markets of SIPLACE is the US and North America, South America. And therefore, I think we are in the right way.
Okay. Sorry, and we talked about the high cost of labour in your region. In terms of maintaining your competitiveness with that backdrop, do you need to make your processes even leaner than perhaps other competitors outside of Germany do? Do you need to be perhaps more flexible, more agile? Do you make more demands on your suppliers?
So we as SRI decided 10 years ago to go in a direction of lean manufacturing processes. And what we do in the meanwhile, we have an own small organization just doing this lean job in our self company and also for other customers. So I think it's strongly important that if you like to stay with manufacturing in Germany, in Europe, that you have to learn your lessons and that you have to analyze your processes. And looking on the products we are doing, for example, we are just starting manufacturing for toys, electronic for toys. I never thought in the past that this will come to Germany again. Yeah. But we made it, it's possible. Yeah. But for sure you have to take into account how many people you need for that. You need strong support, you need good machines. Yeah. And if you're looking on an SMT process, it has to run 24 hours, it has to run 7 days a week, and this is possible in Germany also. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. And with no changeover time, and all that has to be minimized. So from your point of view, you're kind of both sides of that issue as well, because you've revolutionized what you've done in Munich, and that's become a very lean facility. But you're also able to apply those lessons through your equipment with your customers.
Yeah, I think the issue is that, yes, Germany is a high-cost labour area. South Germany, I think, is higher, shall we say, than other parts of Germany, so you have to be efficient. Efficiency is the key. There's no use having a facility where your labour cost is so high and no automation. You have to go for automation, keep your costs down, lean inventories, lean processes, not just in production, but in the rest of the whole of the organisation. So no waste.
Yeah. And just to wrap up with you, Bernhard, the future. What does the future look like for SRI? What's the growth strategy moving forward?
So, at one side, we have clear plans to move to other countries for sure. Not going directly to the east, as I mentioned, but we will follow our customer markets. And I think that's the most important thing for the next 10 years, that the manufacturing is somehow close to the markets. And so transportation costs and all this stuff will come up. This is one thing. The other thing is the strong relationship of doing engineering close by the customers. And I think therefore the interaction between SIPLACE and SRI is very close to say really what is needed to bring up the products, new product, ramp up stuff. And this will be always there where the engineering teams are. Yeah. And so we will go more in a direction of doing more and more engineering. Yeah. Even product development is a clear thing. But to show up that the engineering is doing well, you also need a dedicated portion of manufacturing. Yeah. So,
and from your point of view, Ray, that's invaluable feedback in terms of developing your technology roadmap and your offering to your customers.
I think the key is that to be successful, you have to be close to the customer, not just in manufacturing, but in the service you support, engineering support from an EMS company. Yeah. For us, it's service, applications, support local to the customer. We can't do it from 5,000 miles away. Yeah. You have to do it local.
And all the way up and down the supply chain on the left and the right, as Bernhard puts it. Guys, thanks very much for talking to me. Fascinating insight, and I think stuff that bodes well for the future of the German manufacturing industry. Thanks very much for your time. Enjoy the rest of the show. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ray.